Hi guys, and welcome to another episode. Today we're going to be doing a Q&A with our special guest, Richu. She was here last week. I hope you guys already listened to that episode because it was an amazing interview. She's a transformation coach that helps female entrepreneurs build the body that they want while continuing to build their business. Thank you so much, Richu, for joining us. How are you today?
I'm very well, Daniela. Thank you so much for having me back again. This, I believe, is the third time we are doing a podcast together. So clearly we've got so much in common and so much to offer. So yeah, this is so good to be able to do this again with you.
Yeah, and we've been getting really good feedback from people that have been listening to the episodes. So it's like, obviously it's great to hear that feedback. People are really enjoying the things that we're talking about, and I really like to have you here because you're such a boss girl, and I love that. And I want to share that with people. And we asked you guys to ask us some questions a few days ago on our Instagram, and we have those questions here. So we're gonna get started right now. So let's go straight away. Let's start with the questions because there's quite a few to get through. So I'll get you get started, Richu. You ask the first question and then I'll go next.
Okay, perfect. So one of the questions came through was, how can I manage my weight effectively? So there's not really much here, but the first thing, do you want me to answer this one or would you like to dive in?
You go first, but sorry, before you go, guys, next time you ask your questions, please be very specific. The more specific you are, the more we can help you. Because if you just give us like a general thing, we're going to give you a general answer. But if you give us something more specific, then it's going to be a little bit easier for us to be more specific. Okay, that's everything. You go.
Yes, definitely. So when we're thinking about managing weight effectively, as this person has asked, and if we do take it as a very broad question, because it is, we first need to start asking ourselves questions. We need to ask, what is it that you mean by managing the weight effectively? Have you reached your maintenance or your ideal goal weight? Have you already reached that? Are you worried about how to maintain that moving forward? What is it that you mean specifically? So let's say, for example, Daniela, that the question is that this client has reached their goal weight and they're concerned about how to manage and maintain it. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to take from this. So some of the things that we can do really is you need to, I'm going to get straight to the point here, but having a coach help you get out of diet phase, you've reached your goal, and into maintenance is equally, if not more important, as more important than actually getting the weight loss. So let's say you've achieved weight loss, and you're trying to maintain that in itself can be quite a difficult thing, especially if you have never gone through it before and you've never had to navigate that position. It's new territory. So many times women, if they've got weight loss goals, they may have spent their whole life trying to diet, weight loss on and off, and all of a sudden they're at that ideal weight, whatever that looks like for you as an individual, and it's now all about maintenance. So there are tips and strategies that we can look at as your coach, but it's going to be very specific. Would you agree with me on that? Specific and very applicable to where that person is on their journey.
Yeah, 100%. And I like how you mentioned that because I feel like people always get too fixated or they're too concerned about losing weight, which obviously, if that's your goal, perfect. But they forget about like, okay, what's going to happen after the 3 months or 2 months of being on a deficit? That's the main thing when people go wrong because they get too excited about losing that weight. And once they lose that weight, they assume that, okay, now I can go back to my old habits. Now I can go back to eating that ice cream that I couldn't have while trying to lose weight. Now I can have that cake that I couldn't have. And it's going back to that mindset. It's pretty much taking a few steps backwards because you're going back to your old habits. You're going back to doing the things that you were doing before that made you put on that weight in the first place. So what's the point? You're simply going to be bouncing. You're simply going to be going up and down and
yo-yoing.
Yo-yoing, yeah, that's exactly why yo-yoing happens because you are so strict with your deficit that then when you have to maintain, you struggle so much. I've done this myself in the past so many times. You struggle so much because you went from 0 to 100 too crazy. And that's a mistake that we don't want you guys to make, because we have made that mistake in the past so many times. And this is what we do. We help people to ensure that this doesn't happen. So maintenance phase, I think cutting, so losing body fat or trying to gain muscle mass, all are different phases, and they're all very important, because if you don't have that accountability, if you don't have that coach that has that knowledge, it's going to be much easier to go off track. It's going to be much easier to go back to square one. And do you want that for yourself? I mean, that's a question I have for you. Do you want that for yourself? If the answer is yes, keep doing what you're doing. If the answer is no, get a coach, because a coach will know better than you. That's why they are a coach, because they have more knowledge, they have more experience, they have more practice with everything. So invest in yourself and get someone that can help you get to that next level. You don't have to suffer. You can still enjoy your life. Let them help you if you want to help yourself. That's my advice for you.
I think that's absolutely brilliant. You've nailed it. You've really explained how and why that is so important. We don't want to be in this yo-yo culture. That's how you've got there in the first place. But there are strategies, as you've said, very specific to the individual. You know, weight loss, there's so many ways to do it. And again, with maintenance, don't think of it as just being an easy way out and that's it. There are mindset shifts, there are lifestyle changes to adopt to help continue through. I am, you could say, around that same sort of, you know, I'm not looking to lose anything myself, and I'm not really looking to gain anything, but just to add into that, it's really important that with your coach, you do discuss future goal setting, and we start looking. One of the tips I would actually give for free right now is looking at a goal that is not physical based, something that is more, well, when I say physical, I mean like aesthetically based, something which is more, you know, there's a goal to like a strength goal. And this is where other types of fitness can start, you know, coming into your world, and you can start being introduced to, you know, something other than dieting, right? Is there any more question? Have you got another question? We've got loads of questions.
Got plenty of questions.
Yes, please pick one out for me.
Okay, then again, not very specific, but I'm still going to mention this. Someone asked, how many calories should I consume in a day? I mean, I don't know. Are you trying to lose weight? Are you trying to lose body fat? Are you trying to gain muscle mass? But I think my answer for you will be, if you want to first find out exactly how many calories you need just to be a maintenance. So your daily energy expenditure. And that's something you can use any free calculator online. Literally just look it up, TDEE or free calculator online. It will come up there. It will ask you a few questions about your age, your height, your gender, your weight, put all those details, and then we'll give you like a rough estimate of how much you should be consuming based on those details in your activity level. That will be the first step. And then from there, the next step will be to decide, what do you want to achieve? Do I want to lose weight? Do I want to lose body fat? Or do I want to gain muscle mass? But in saying this, if you're someone who has been trying to, or who doesn't maybe that has like the best eating habits, who doesn't have the best habits with the training, with the nutrition, I will always suggest just start with your maintenance calories. There's no point of you going straight into a deficit or straight into a surplus, because you're simply not going to have that balance or create those habits that's going to help you to be successful. So start with the basics. Start creating those habits, that lifestyle. And then once you feel more ready, or once things get better with your life, then, okay, I'm going to start dropping the calories or increasing the calories again, based on your goals. But is there anything else that you will suggest, Richu, or anything else that you will do different in this case?
Oh, wow. Okay. So obviously the biggest thing that we get out there are government recommendations. Again, they are non-specific. So just as Daniela has mentioned, it's really important to find out what your maintenance calories are, you know, and thinking with that in mind, then looking at, are you looking to maintain? Are you looking to increase muscle? Are you looking to reduce body fat? What is it? Everything comes down to goals and goal setting. It's so important, rather than just stabbing in the dark. And this is where, with your coach, we can explore that with you, and we can explore what it is that you are looking to achieve, and then give you, you know, the plan or the idea. Again, not everyone needs to be tracking calories. So it's just, again, trying to find out where you are on your journey, on your fitness journey, and then obviously making the changes needed from there.
We're gonna meet you where you are, because that's, you know, again, that's the main thing with coaches. That's the main thing why we do what we do, because it's meeting what you are, so we can help you with what you have now, and then slowly change those habits, slowly making that lifestyle. But yeah, I feel like if you guys, you know, if you guys listen to our podcast, it probably sounds very repetitive. And it's because, like, we need to get those basics right. We need to get that foundation right. We cannot do anything if we don't have that strong and solid foundation. Get the basics right first, and then worry about the rest, and then worry about something else. Don't overcomplicate anything. Just keep it simple. Keep it simple. Like, we keep it simple. That's what I'm gonna say. Okay, next question, Richu.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
Yeah. So here's another one. Like, this is a bit more specific now. Okay. What should I eat to lose weight and tone my body? There's a second part to this, because they actually ask, should I be following a specific diet plan? So this is a very common one, because I think when we think about that toned body that you know, sometimes some of us aspire to have as women. Oh, right. Where do we go with this? In terms of specific diet plans, everything is going to come down to specificity. What do you like? What is going to help keep you accountable? What do you find suits you? So for me, for example, I'm a vegan out of choice. I didn't become vegan to lose weight or to get toned. I became vegan for my own ethical choices. And you know, people do things for different reasons, but jumping on different types of diet to try and get an outcome, the effectiveness in helping you achieve your goals, again, it's very broad, it's very non-specific, and we need to think about ideally what foods and what types of diets you like, what aligns with your belief system as well. You know? And then when we're thinking about what foods to eat with losing weight and toning your body. So when we're thinking about weight loss and we're thinking about toning, effectively with toning, we're thinking about gaining muscle. Okay. That doesn't need to sound, I know a lot of the time you kind of think muscle is related to bodybuilding and to big burly men or something. There are plenty of big burly women out there as well that have amazing muscle, and they you know, they perform in their sports outstandingly. But when we're thinking about that generic muscle toned look, we still apply the same or similar principles. So you want to make sure that you're not eating massive amounts of calories. You want to be in a deficit, and we still want to consider protein, right? We want to think about protein is so important. Protein is not going to make you, because that's another thing. You get women that say, or people that say, oh my God, I don't want to have a protein shake because it's going to make me like,
I hear that all the time.
I have to have it after a workout. The idea is to just change the composition of your food and to manipulate those calories and those macros as well. So again, when you join our program, so either you join Daniela or myself as your coach, we'll give you the education to talk to you about what macros are firstly, and then also address things like protein. Because I feel like quite often, if you're just focusing on the calories, you could be forgetting a very key point when it comes to that toned goal, right? What's your feedback?
Yeah, like you mentioned, like toning, maybe it sounds like two different things. Like some girls want to tone, and then other girls want to gain muscle mass, like, you know, build more muscle. But at the end of the day, it's the same thing. If you want to tone, if you want to have that nice physique, you need to have some muscle mass. And for you to have that muscle mass, you need to gain that muscle mass. But that doesn't mean you're gonna be huge. So you're not gonna be like a bodybuilder, like looking big, like broad shoulders. Like, if you want to do that, you can do it, but that's a different way of doing it. If you just want to get toned, so have more muscle, again, it's a different way of doing it. And it's also to do with your training. It's also to do with your nutrition. So those are like the two main things. So don't be afraid of having that protein. Don't be afraid of drinking those protein shakes. Don't be afraid of training hard if you want to tone, if you want to gain muscle mass, because again, toning, muscle mass is exactly the same thing, just different words. I feel like toning sounds more girly, which is why we use it all the time or most of the time. And for men, you wouldn't say to a man, my boyfriend wants to tone. You'll be like, what the hell? It's always like, my boyfriend wants to gain muscle mass. But again, it's the same thing. So yes, if you want to lose weight, no, sorry, before I answer that question, what do you say to people? Because this is one question I get asked all the time when they ask me on Instagram or Facebook. People ask me, can I lose weight and gain muscle mass at the same time? What's your answer?
My answer is always going to be, it depends. So this is the thing. So for myself and Daniela, so women, if you are listening, it's so hard for us to build muscle to look like a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
There are so many things, like hormones affect it. The fact that we are designed to hold body fat. There's so many things, genetics as well. We're all predisposed to obviously have different outcomes when we do train. Some people acquire that toned look very easily, whereas some of us, it's a lot harder. But yes, when it comes to losing weight and building, it depends. And this is where the difference is. Daniela and I will find it a lot harder to build muscle than any of you that are coming to us that are untrained individuals. So if you have never really got into a very specific long-term muscle building program, you are going to be in the best position to gain it, because it's brand new stimulus. Whereas for Daniela and I, it will take a lot longer, because we've already kind of maxed out, if you like, not maxed out, but we've already reached a point of muscle. There's a threshold. And then after that, yes, you do need to start looking at more very specific things. So not to bore anyone, but we want to start thinking more specifically in manipulating things like muscle protein synthesis, at a more strategic manner. And so that's where things like meals themselves, like the content of protein in the meals and other various very, very unique and important amino acids, so like leucine content, for example, but we will not bore you with that. When it comes down to it, if you are an untrained individual, you are in a much better position to build muscle and lose weight at the same time. What's your answer? Is that definitely something you're familiar with yourself?
Yeah, that's 100% my answer as well. It depends. And like you said, like the more you train, the longer you have been doing this, the harder it's going to be for us to gain muscle mass. Just like Richu said, like we get to that threshold, to that point that your body is just going to be the way it is, like how you shape it. So it's pretty much going to be this foundation forever, unless you want to do a different route and then start doing other things like steroids. That will be like the next step. You don't have to do that, but I'm just saying that the next step that bodybuilders take, because natural bodybuilders, they can only reach a certain point. But if they want to be on that stage level, if they want to be competing at the Olympia, that pro level, not just a bodybuilding comp for fun, but that pro level, you need to take that step to help you gain more muscle mass, to help you get that look, which is a different topic. We don't have to discuss it today, but that's something just for you guys to keep in mind. It's two different.
It's a very hard game. It's very, very difficult. It takes absolute years, and even like maturity as well, and muscle maturity and stuff like that. And that's not to say that Daniela and I cannot. But let's say, for example, Daniela and I, what we will find is that we have something called muscle memory. I'm really going off topic here. Yeah. But if you and I, Daniela, took a year off training, right, and then we were like, okay, we need to get back in. We would then kind of get back to what we call, neither of us have mentioned this, but our beginner gains, right?
Yeah.
You have that muscle memory. You're able to get to that point where you were quicker, because you've got that muscle memory. Anyway, should we move on to
next question? Yeah, next one.
Who asked that question?
I love that answer. I've got one here. Someone asked me, how do I control my portion sizes? That's a really good question. I think my answer to that will be like, again, it depends. Just because like for some people, I will say the best way to control your portion sizes is by using a scale, because that's gonna be very, very accurate. It's gonna be very specific, and you're gonna know exactly how much you're eating. Let's say 100 grams of cooked rice, 80 grams of cooked chicken, 200 grams of sweet potato, whatever. That's one way you can control your portion sizes. But that wouldn't be right for someone who it's been struggling, let's say, with an eating disorder. You wouldn't want them to you wouldn't give them a scale, because that would just drive them crazy, and that would just make them get that or be in that unhealthy relationship with food again. So, but that's one way. Another way will be just using your hands. Using your hands, like you're watching the video, you can see me. You can control your portions using your hands as measurements for your protein, for your carbs, for your fats. Another way it can be, I think, by using smaller plates, making sure you have using smaller plates, your portion of protein, your portion of carbs, your portion of veggies and fats. So I would say it depends on where you are with your journey. It depends on you, your lifestyle, but those will be 3 ways that I will suggest for you to control your portion sizes. But is there any other way or something different that you will suggest, Richu?
No, actually, you've pretty much covered it. Again, I think another one would be accountability. So especially if you are someone who is not tracking calories, macros, fats, carbs, you're not tracking, you're not weighing any food or anything like that. Accountability is a heavy part of that. And this is where the coach comes in, because you can send us pictures, guys. You can send us pictures. We can have a look again in terms of these plates, how these portions look. So visuals are really, really handy. And again, having that accountability, someone who's well practiced and well versed in terms of understanding how much, because if you don't know how many calories are in, the 100 grams of, or what 100 grams of rice looks like, Daniela, I think both of us could probably say we can kind of eyeball 100 grams of cooked rice pretty well. Because we're so versed at it. We've done all the weighing and the calculating, so you guys don't have to. So that's one of the tactics I use, especially with my women that are brand new to it, or if they have come from a point where they were previously, they're healed now, but they were previously in a pattern of disordered eating. They're obviously very mindful. I'm very mindful about my remit of practice as well, in terms of how to deal with people that have come from that. It's really important, guys, that when you choose your coach, you understand that they understand where their scope of practice lies.
100%.
Okay, Daniela and I are not, we're not psychologists. Are you a psychologist? No, we're not. No. We're not like, in the, what would you call them? Yeah, like dietitians, perhaps, in some. We're nutritionists. Okay. We are here as coaches to guide you on your journey. And if you've got severe problems with eating disorders, that's not our scope of practice, I'm afraid to say. If you are healed on that journey, we can definitely start to help look at, working on building your next goals when it comes to, say if you're muscle building, or you do have to, you're in a point where you are looking to maintain or lose weight, whatever it is, whatever your goals are, we can help you along that journey. But we will be very mindful when it comes to that. And in those stages, things like pictures and stuff are actually very helpful. They take the thinking out for you as a client, and they allow us to kind of give you, that accountability. But it got very serious then, but it's important.
It is important, because I remember I had someone reaching out a few months ago, and she told me, she's like, I want to lose weight, blah, blah. And obviously we always want to know more about you before we start working together, because we cannot help everyone. And when I was asking questions, she told me she had suffered from an eating disorder for a few years. So I was like, I truly want to help you, but I don't know too much. I have never dealt with someone that has eating disorder. And as much as I want to help you, it'll be better if I refer you to someone, or you get someone with more experience in this topic, because If you start working with someone that has no knowledge about eating soda, or maybe doesn't, or no experience about eating soda, this is only going to ruin you in your mental health, in your progress, and you don't want that. So if you have something very specific like that, work with a dietitian, because they, they're the dietitians for a reason. They know better than us. And I have no shame saying that, because I don't have the knowledge and I don't want to risk that, because this is talking about your health. This is not just talking about, losing weight and looking pretty in a bikini. This is something completely different. It's more a mindset thing. It's more, it's something that we don't want to risk.
It's a lot more serious.
It's a lot more serious. Yeah.
Yeah. I've refused clients in the past for the same reasons as well. And actually when I've done more one-to-one, like for example, the exercise management, for example, in educating, like for example, I had a girl that she was very open and honest about her eating disorders, and wanted to improve her squats, for example. So I said to her, okay, when you come to your training sessions with me, I need to know that you've had something to eat before you've come in. I want to know that you've not like fasted and you're coming in with nothing. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you what to eat. I'm not going to tell you how to eat. None of that. That's not my remit. But just tell me that you feel energized and you feel ready and you feel like, good to go over this. And she joined me because she wanted more technique focused work. So that it was not an aesthetic goal that she was after with me. She was after a very specific goal of trying to improve her mobility and her, that goal that is not aesthetic based. It was just more about improving her squat, for example.
Yeah. Again, I feel like that's another topic for another podcast, because that's something we can talk about it more. But yeah, I think the main point with this, what we just discussed, is like, work with someone that has the knowledge about the things that you have suffered or that you are going through, because this is you don't want to risk your health. You only have one life, so make the most out of that one life. Okay, next question. Did I ask the last question, or you asked the last question? No,
I think maybe that was your question.
Yeah. Okay, no, your turn.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. This is a great one. Is it possible to spot reduce fat from specific areas of my body?
I get this question all the time.
Exactly.
If I was to get $1 for every time someone asked me that question,
yeah, Jesus, you'd be a rich girl.
I'll be a rich girl. Yeah.
You'll be flying me over to Peru to see alpacas.
Alpacas. I need to send you a picture.
You do. So when it comes to spot reducing fat, no, you cannot do it. I'm afraid you cannot do it. You can build muscle in an area, but you cannot spot reduce fat. Where we hold fat is all predetermined by genetics. We are predisposed to hold fat in certain areas. I know for myself, as a South Asian woman, I am predisposed to hold fat around my waist, around my midsection. Me and my younger sister have actually laughed and giggled about this, and the fact that we may see, that, for example, for our demographic or our race, if you like, that we could get very slim, but the tummy just, when I competed, it was the last place to go. My boobs went before my belly went. Like that's just the way it goes, There could be a number of reasons. And again, for South Asian women, this is another reason why we are predisposed to get things like type 2 diabetes. Again, it could be, when we get into genetics, we could also look at maybe even the types of foods that we've eaten for thousands of years. We don't know the lifestyles we've had. There's various different things and things that I cannot explain myself as to why. But as a Peruvian, would you say there's anything that you guys, where would you say that women generally hold?
I think for us, it's mainly what I've seen with my family, myself, and like the people I can see around. I would say it's the waistline, but also the booty. I think we hold mainly, that body fat around the waist, and also the booty. You can see it. You can see it holding it there better. But for me, I would say also my face. I feel like when I gain weight, the first spot is my face, and you can see my cheeks just like going like
I'm the
so
same.
big. Yeah.
I don't think that's a racial thing. I think that's like, again, it's just maybe a genetic thing, perhaps.
Yeah.
Just how your face is. Yeah, I definitely, it goes from I've got a very slim, like my face is naturally my very long head. So when I do lose, it goes right here.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Yeah. But I've got like a very round face. So when I gain, it goes a little bit bigger. I used to hate them. I remember like when I was younger, I used to hate my cheeks so much. I would tell my sister
it's
like,
what keeps us looking young. It's
no, but like I used to tell my sister like, when I grow up and when I have money, I'm gonna get a surgery done and remove my cheeks to make them.
No,
that's what I used to say to myself. Like when I was younger, I was like, I don't know what, 7, 8, 9 years old.
Bless.
Yeah.
No, it's what makes cheeks is what, having fat in your cheeks is what keeps us young and keeps our skin healthy and fresh. So
healthy. Yeah.
Look, guys, one thing I've definitely it might be that Daniela and I do talk about things like weight loss and fat loss and stuff, but that is not the pursuit of happiness. Definitely not. There needs to be different phases in your life, and the maintenance, that, as we talked about earlier, is massively important as well. And yeah, do you know what else? As women, building muscle, like, come on, as we get older. So Danielle, I'm not shy to this, but like next year I enter my 40s, and as we get older, we start to lose muscle mass, and we start to change shape. And I was talking to another fellow coach earlier today actually about this, but it's just so important as we age that muscle is not just seen as an aesthetic thing. It's very important and vital. It's going to stop you from having things like falls and breaking bones and stuff. And even when as we go through, we're both going to go through menopause at some stage. You probably a lot later than me because I'm older than you, but it's the inevitable. And so muscle mass is so important. Don't be scared of looking at muscle building past the idea of just having that toned physique.
Yeah, and also think about like movement and joints, because when you exercise, it's not just about gaining muscle mass for when you're older, for looking better, but it's also like if you don't have that mobility, then when you get older, it's going to be more challenging to do things. It's going to be more risky for you as well to do things. But if you build that strength, if you work on your joints, if you work on your joints, does that make sense? But you know what I mean?
It does. I do.
Thing,
yeah.
It's just going to make your life, movement. It's going to make your life and journey much easier, and you're going to be so happy by the age you're 50, 60, 70, 80 that you're going to be someone that's going to be able to walk, maybe a little bit slower, but you're going to be able to move, to walk, to go up and down, to pick up something from the floor, things that maybe if you don't train now, you're going to struggle with so much when you get older. So always think about your future as well.
Yes.
Something I would say, like, sometimes I always say, like, don't overthink too much, like don't look ahead too much. But when it comes to your health, you kind of have to look ahead a little bit, because you want to make sure you're doing the best that you can for yourself right now and for your future.
We're looking at everything now as an investment.
Exactly. It's an investment. Invest in yourself, invest in your health. That's the best investment you can make. People always want to make investment with like buying a house or buying a car or buying something, very expensive.
Oh, a handbag.
A handbag, like, right? I don't even get it started, because that drives me crazy. I just don't understand.
I just don't understand it, but I know what you mean. It's like, I'll always say this. We've got one body, right? But we've also got one set of teeth.
Yeah.
So yeah, invest in your dentist as well, because you can't grow teeth back.
Yeah, and that handbag, that expensive handbag, is not gonna feel any pain.
No.
Okay, so think about that. You're gonna feel the pain when you get older. You're gonna have those problems when you get older. So if you wanna avoid that, invest in yourself right now, because that's the best investment you can ever make. It's not selfish. It's just you doing something for yourself, because you only have one life and you're the only one that can control that life. No one else can do it for you. And you don't want to be depending on pills when you're older. You don't want to
No.
be depending on treatments, when you're older. If that's something that you want, which I'm sure you don't want, think about it. Do something now to help you be better. Even if
Yeah.
right now you are 40, 45, 50, you're still young. Okay. You're not 80 or 90 just yet. So it's never too late to do something about it. So do something right now.
Oh, on that topic, what's her name? Joan. Do you know Joan?
No.
Joan, she's 80. She's just celebrated her 80s. Her pictures all over the internet.
Oh wait, yeah, I've seen it.
The
The lady
80-year-old.
Yeah.
I think her daughter is a PT as well, but she is like ripped. She looks incredible.
Yeah, I've seen her.
I want to look like her when I'm 80. That's honestly, that is goals.
And you can see how strong and confident she feels. Like that's
yeah, definitely. But I guess this is kind of us. We've come to the end now, and I know we'll have time for questions.
We are running out of time. We have more questions, but let's do another one answering those questions because there's more questions that you guys asked. So sorry if we didn't answer your question in this podcast. We will answer your question, I promise, on the next one. But thank you, Richu, once again for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. We really appreciate it. I hope you guys can take away so much from this because we're doing this to help you. We're doing this to ensure that you do something for yourself. Thank you for joining. Please follow Richu on her Instagram. She has some amazing content about mindset, fitness, and training. Her Instagram handle is at Richu Brar. No, you say it. You pronounce it better.
At Richu Brar. That's RICHUBRAR. Thank you.
Exactly. Go follow her. Send us your questions again. We will be doing more Q&As. And thank you for joining. And as I always say,
thanks for having me.
Don't ever stop believing in yourself.